Hi, I'm Kenty Can. Specializing in personal injury and disability law, the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm in Mississauga has been voted the #1 personal injury law firm for 9 years running. Now, no stranger to ATN viewers, Mr. Nainesh Kotak, the founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm, has been on our program many times. He's explained the kind of legal help Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm offers their clients. Nainesh is a consummate and highly respected professional. Today, he is my guest. And hopefully today, we learn a little bit more about the man behind the firm, as well a little bit about the firm itself. Nainesh, it's good to have you again on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, today we'll go with a little bit of a different focus, I think. You've really explained to us the last number of times you've been here, about the kind of work you do. And we've heard from you about car accidents and slip and fall and all that sort of stuff. Let's take a little different approach here for now. You were called to the bar in 1994. You've been practicing, law for more than 20 years now.
Yes.
Coming out of the University of Ottawa with an honors degree and so on. You have appeared numerous times in front, in the Superior Court of Justice, the Ontario Court of Justice, the Appellate Court, tribunals, and you've been arguing on behalf of your clients, hundreds of clients, thousands of them. But the usually reliable sources tell me that you perhaps had a stellar legal career in criminal law. Now here you are, a top-notch personal injury and disability lawyer. I want you to tell me then, Nainesh, what inspired you to become a lawyer and why the switch? Assuming that what the usually reliable sources have told me, that you were on your way to a stellar career and this is the romanticism of law, arguably, being a great criminal lawyer. So why the switch, and what inspired you, first of all, to become a lawyer?
Thank you. I'll first address what inspired me to become a lawyer. So I found, just like most students, as you get later in high school, that is where you start to be more career focused. You really concentrate more on your marks and need to make some very important decisions. I had an affinity to law, and I knew either I would become a police officer or a lawyer, preferably a lawyer. Look, I wasn't very good in science, and I wasn't very good in math, so those traditional South Asian professions that back then parents would want you to do, I felt I'm not interested in them, and it would have been a bit of a challenge, in fact. Law just seemed the very natural profession to me, and I really geared my studies in the undergraduate world towards getting into law school, and things progressed from there. Now, your second question, and you're absolutely correct, I initially did quite a bit of criminal law, and why the switch? I did enjoy criminal law. It gave me a lot of trial experience. You're dealing with clients in very difficult circumstances. You're examining witnesses who may not be telling the truth, and you have to plug holes in their testimony. So it was very interesting. It was very rewarding. I found over time, though, as I started to get into personal injury litigation, just that feeling of helping vulnerable persons. Vulnerable meaning people who have been injured, who have been denied claims, who really need the help of a lawyer because they're up against what seems to them as insurmountable obstacles of dealing with insurance companies and trying to recover from traumatic situations. And I found that to be very rewarding. And really, over time, I just geared my entire practice towards that. I found the experience of the end result of the satisfaction that the clients were feeling when the matter was done was actually more rewarding to me as a person to pick that area of law. Yeah.
We have, wide viewership. I'm sure today many parents are watching our show, grandparents. Of course, children as well, young and old. What words have you got for a young child, a young boy or girl, young children, those that perhaps are not, old enough to really determine and set their guide on a career? but also others that are thinking right now about university and what sort of a career they should get into. What are the procedural requirements, for someone that you can share with us that will help them maybe on their way to becoming a lawyer?
Okay. So as I said, I think the young people make the decision or start to think about career. It may not be a final decision in getting into late high school. So I'll start the process from there. Now, unlike some of the other professions, such as medicine, dentistry, and pharmacy, one can get an undergraduate degree in really any subject area and still get into law school. So even for people who are not decided, they could still take their sciences and then apply to law school as well. And I think it's a very rewarding career to get into. And I'll get into that.
But let's establish, though, you've got to do an undergraduate first.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Now, so you either do a 3 or a 4-year degree. So on top of that, you have to write what's called the LSAT, the Law School Admission Test. Now, the LSAT seems daunting, but really it's a common sense IQ type of test. And there's a lot of preparation that may go involved in studying for it. There's courses that one could take, and you could look at the old exams to prepare. So law schools will look at a combination of the grade point average in the undergraduate degree, and they'll look at the LSAT score in admission. So I always recommend to young people, look, pick your undergraduate degree in something you're interested in, because you're more likely to get higher marks in that subject as opposed to something, well, my parents have told me this, and I have to do it even though I don't like it. Follow your heart, follow your own logic, your own mind, and your own instinct. Take the course you're going to do better in, that you're also interested in, and not something that sounds easy, because it may well not be easy, but something you're genuinely interested in to get the better marks. Prepare for the LSAT to get admitted. Now, we have a number of law schools in Ontario. We have University of Ottawa, Queen's University, University of Toronto, York University, which is Osgoode Hall, University of Windsor, there's Western Ontario, and there's Lakehead, which has a new law school now, which is really more for...
South in Thunder Bay area.
It's specializing in Aboriginal law, which is really a very rewarding field. So these are the law schools we have in Ontario.
We'll get right back to that, but we do have to take a short break first.
Thank you.
Please stay with us with my guest, Nainesh Kotak, the founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law. And we'll be talking about Nainesh himself and all kinds of legal matters. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're in conversation with Nainesh Kotak, founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm, voted #1 personal injury law firm 9 years running. Well, Nainesh, here we are. We've done our undergraduate work. We've got a law degree. We've done the LSAT, and we've gone on to any of those universities you just mentioned, University of Ottawa, Windsor, Lakehead, Osgoode Hall. We've done that, and now we've got a law degree in hand. What happens next? Do we all of a sudden appear before the Chief Justice and start pleading our case?
Fortunately not.
No, okay.
So there is another process that has to happen. There are 2 major exams that need to be passed, and that is the barrister's exam and the solicitor's exam. They're each about 7 hours long, so there's a fair amount of studying involved for those exams.
Before you go further, the barrister's exam and the solicitor's exam, what's the difference?
Well, a barrister is a traditional term from England. It is really the lawyer who goes to court. The solicitor is the one who drafts documents and prepares things that are not really going to court. Okay. So the courses are sort of divvied up under that framework.
The solicitor being the advisor sort of thing, is that?
So to speak.
Okay, all right.
So once that's been done, the candidate then needs to get a position articling with a law firm. There's 2 schemes. Now, unfortunately, what has happened is there's been more of a reluctance on law firms to hire articling students, it seems. And it may be the economy.
But then where do they article?
So most do. It's a 10-month program. Most will article. For those who cannot get articling jobs, there's another scheme that they could take. It's a 4-month course at Ryerson, very practical course, and then they're placed for 4 months at a law firm, and they don't get paid for that. The law firm may wish to do so, but usually don't. So there's 2 ways then you can get through what traditionally was the articling scheme. Once that's done, the candidate is then applies to be called to the bar, and as long as they have what's called good character, they haven't done anything bad in society, they could then be called to the bar, and then their options open.
Is there some sort of introduction to the bar? I thought I understood somebody has to introduce them to the bar.
It's called a call to the bar.
A call to the bar.
It's a ceremony that is done, and it's a highlight of one's young life, I think, to start out there. And there's usually a large group of that year who are being called to the bar, and they take an oath, and parents are there, and a lot of pictures are taken, and they're wearing their gowns. And something to remember, I think, for a lifetime. And once they've been called to the bar, they are now lawyers.
I feel like I want to talk a little bit about the flamboyance of becoming a law and the robe and the gown and that sort of thing, but we'll probably leave that for another discussion. Let me then say, so you're a lawyer, and there are many different areas that we can practice law in, and
Yes.
perhaps we'll get to that in a second. But a lot of times, lawyers, or those who've got a law degree, they use that degree to get into other professions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. You know, lawyers have a degree that is quite marketable if you use your ingenuity about it. For example, a lot of government offices need people who are going to help interpret legislation, write the legislation. Entertainment companies may need lawyers who can draft contracts for their actors or their singers. And so it might not be traditional what we think of as a legal job, but it actually is. Look, politicians. The majority of politicians were lawyers. Now, it's changing a little bit, but throughout history, that's been the case. Why? Well, being a lawyer, you do learn how to debate, okay? And that's, I suppose, part of the politician's job. And also, if we look at how does society function, it is governed by codes of conduct, by rules of law, by laws, by regulations, by standards. Who writes those and who interprets those? It's lawyers. So in the shaping of society, law has been a magnificent component of the directing how society has evolved over thousands of years, since the Romans, I would say. And politicians who are making laws, enacting laws, changing direction of public views, public thought, that law degree is invaluable. That ability to think in the way lawyers think, using the logic, a logical format of how lawyers think, is very useful to go into a career such as politics as well.
And of course, laws, we're governed by them, all kinds of laws.
Yes.
And as they say, for the ordinary person, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So it doesn't matter whether you knew that law existed or not, but they govern our lives.
Yes.
And so we have to pay attention that way. So therefore, what are some of the areas we can everybody knows about criminal law. You know, you appear in court, you're defending an accused who's accused of one of the most serious crimes and so on. But there's commercial law and insurance law. Tell me a little bit about the various areas that one can do.
Look, there are, if you go in the corporate world, there are securities law, contract law. If we go into lawyers who take disputes to court, you have various types of litigation lawyers. Some lawyers will focus on construction liens. Some lawyers will focus on just general contracts. There are family lawyers, because unfortunately, many relationships end up in a sort of separation.
Yes.
And we have laws that govern what will happen on separation. And lawyers then will advocate for that. So we have family lawyers, we have criminal lawyers, as you've mentioned. There's taxation lawyers, there's immigration lawyers, and subsets of refugee lawyers. We have personal injury lawyers, and there are subsets there, those who deal with medical malpractice, those who deal with car accidents, slip and falls. So, as you said, because our society is governed by laws and rules, regulations, and our social interactions are governed by codes of conduct, which are often enacted in laws.
Again, for students listening to this, is there anything or any things in particular that'll help one, that'll guide one towards the particular area of law that they might be that he might want to work in?
So my suggestion with this is for students to keep their minds open. Those are in law school. Because you may go into law school saying, I want to be the best criminal lawyer. But they start taking evidence, they start taking criminal law in law school and maybe lose a bit of interest and are more interested in family law, more interested in commercial law or tax. And that goes in terms of when they article as well. It's great to get an articling position in a firm that can give them some exposure to different areas of law. Or now you can pick two articling principles. Maybe one articling principle does criminal law, maybe the other does something else. So you get that type of exposure really before making the decision of what to do. It's important to obviously be educated in the area of law that you're going to eventually do, but also to actually experience it as a student, as an articling student, so you really get a taste of what it's all about.
All very, very interesting, but we've got to stop there for a little bit and take a short break again. We'll be right back after this short break with my guest, Nainesh Kotak, founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm in Mississauga. Please stay with us. Welcome back with my guest, Nainesh Kotak, founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm. Nainesh, very, very interesting discussion. I'm really enjoying this, but time's afoot, and so we've got to get on with this. In essence, your current work as a personal injury law firm, lawyer, and your law firm, Kodak Personal Injury Law, you specialize in personal law and disability law. So you, tell me if I'm right, you settle disputes amongst parties, one causing injury of some sort to another, and the injury doesn't necessarily have to be physical, but some sort of injury. And there's a whole big mechanism, legal mechanism that's around all of this, to bring these disputes to the fore and then to have them settled. Of course, I think we all are aware that some of these disputes can take very, very long time to get settled. So what's the framework around which you operate?
Right. You're absolutely correct. These cases do take some time to settle or resolve in some way. The general ballpark is 2 to 4 years, and sometimes it could be quicker, sometimes a little longer. So when there is a dispute, and in our case it's a personal injury-related dispute, somebody who's been hurt in an accident or who has been hurt in a slip and fall, they come to us, and the adjudicator for this is going to be a court, a judge or a jury. So we take all the necessary information that we need in terms of how the incident might have happened. We put the appropriate applications out to their own insurance party if it's a car accident, and we sue the party at fault. And the ultimate redress is a trial before a judge and jury to come to a decision in terms of who's responsible, and if they're responsible, how much it should be paid. Most cases do not reach that level. They reach a negotiated settlement. So the negotiation can take place through many different time periods and facilities. Time periods, again, the 2 to 4 years. The facilities may well be a mediation after there's been a discovery process, which is akin to what they have in the United States as depositions, where people are questioned under oath. And then there may be a mediation where a neutral third party will try to put the parties together to state their position and kind of reach some sort of a common ground. So there always is opportunities to resolve cases. There are settlement conferences. And sometimes the parties are just too far apart, and a trial will be necessary. Judges always like to see cases resolved, and maybe at a pre-trial that might happen. But in a nutshell, that's sort of the mechanism as to how cases will move through a court system and either resolve or go to trial.
I listen to you now explaining all of this, and I'd say adjudicators of any sort, judges, mediators, they can't help but listen to you speak so eloquently and so smoothly to them and be favorable towards your arguments. I just hope that happens, in every respect for you. I want to ask you then, in the little time that we have left, to sort of recap then for our viewers the areas that your firm operates under, and give us some examples. Personal injury, disability law. Give us some examples and how you help your clients.
Right. So we represent clients who have been hurt by third parties, including those who have been hurt in car accidents, who have been injured in a slip and fall, who have been injured by other practitioners such as doctors.
Doctors, yes.
We also represent people who have been denied disability benefits, such as long-term disability benefit applications or Canada Pension Plan disability applications. So that is sort of the area of law that we cover. And really our goal is to try to ensure that the injured person gets the treatment they need to get better, to make the insurance company involved pay for that treatment, and to get them the best compensation that they could possibly get. That is our goal.
So parties who feel they've been wronged, hurt, injured in any way by other parties can get in touch with you. You've got a website.
Absolutely.
You know, they know how to find you, and that's kotaklaw.com.
That's correct, yes.
And get in touch with you. Tell me a little bit about the team, because you obviously don't handle all of this yourself. You've got to have a fabulous team to be as successful as you are in the way that you serve your clients so very well. Talk a little bit about the team that you have at Kotak Law.
Thank you. You know, I gave a speech recently where I talked about my team, and I made it very clear. If it was just about me, I'd be in a little back office, probably where I started from, and that's it. It's not just about me. It's about the lawyers who work with me. It's about my support staff. It's about the person who answers the phone. It's about the person who takes the intake. And we have great lawyers in our firm. We have lawyers who speak different languages, Mandarin, Punjabi, Hindi. We have staff. One of my staff has been with me, I think, for now 13 years, and a great law clerk. She speaks Italian. We have Malayalam speaking law clerk as well. So we are very multi-ethnic. And we have very talented staff and very supportive staff, and I really appreciate their efforts, because it truly is a team. It's a multidisciplinary team, and our team includes the client's doctors, the client's therapists. We work with them as well to get a holistic result for our client.
All this helps Kotak Personal Injury Law to be the #1 personal injury law firm in Mississauga. Before we go, this is the age of technology, and your clients are also served through your firm via online assessment in 30 seconds or less. Tell us a little bit about the online assessment.
Thank you. So our website is quite interactive. If somebody wants to contact us, they can obviously pick up the phone the traditional way and call us. They can also fill out an online assessment form that is very much part of our webpage that will describe what has happened with them. And we respond to that very quickly. Usually within a few hours, we respond to those online requests and get in touch with the person who's contacted us and arrange a quick meeting so we can help them out right away.
Nainesh, it's always a pleasure to meet with you and to talk about all these matters with you. You've got such an easy style and a very understandable one as well. So thanks again for coming in and sharing all of this with us.
Thank you.
My guest has been Nainesh Kotak, founder of the Kotak Personal Injury Law Firm. For the Asian Television Network, this is Kenty Kan.